What's up everybody, Trinity here, and welcome back to the 2nd Street Marvel. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing Mountainhead, issue number 1. But before I get into that, please make sure you're subscribed, click the little bell and all of that good stuff. I talk a lot about comics, movies, and on occasion even music. So, Mountainhead issue number 1. This book is being produced by IDW Publishing. This is the first in a new series, and it is a horror title. At least that's what they're advertising it as. Now, this issue is the story is written by John Lees. The art is done by Ryan Lee. Colors are done by Doug Lee. I'm just kidding. The colors are done by Doug Garbark, and the letters are by Sean Lee, and I'm being serious at this time. Now, this book is, like I said, it's a new title and being advertised as a horror title. And I've got to tell you that I think it kind of lets us in on that pretty quick right here on the opening panel of the book, as we are just kind of thrust into this kind of like this horrific scene. And basically what we have here is the main character who is narrating the story, talking about how his father had said that not to ever spend too much time up in the Rockies because it makes people go a special kind of crazy, a kind of crazy in which he called Mountainhead. So anyway, we are thrust into the story. What we get into is we open up in the town of Corvallis, Oregon, and what we see is there is a father and a child who are breaking into a house and robbing it. And as they are going through doing this, we can see that this father is somewhat I don't know, maybe somewhat paranoid, and just kind of has a different outlook on life. As they are going through this house, we see that he's talking to his son, telling him, like, hey, we're here to rob these things, and they're just that. They're just things. Don't ever become attached to them. Because so many people in the world think that they are the things that they own, and there's you can kind of see that there's somewhat of a commentary going on here, being set forth about who this father is, and basically telling his kid not to be too attached to these things. There are other things more important out there than just all the things that we value out there when we go out and making purchases. So we see that they're sitting there going through there robbing this house, and we see that the kid is going through, they're scoping the place out and looking for things, and we see that this young man is sitting there. He finds some items there that he's looking for. His father asks if he's found anything of value, and basically we see him sitting there playing with a guitar. He kind of lays down on this bed, and you can tell that this kid is starting to ponder life. He looks over at a picture of the family of the house that they're in. Just kind of looks at this picture of this family just together having a good time, and you can tell that he's really paying attention to this picture, and he kind of gets down on himself. And then later we see where we get introduced to his father and his relationship just a little bit more, and we kind of come across the fact that his father is definitely a paranoid schizophrenic. And he's going in, telling his son about his mother, and how he's been doing his best to try to raise him as over these last 10 years or so since his mother has been missing. And the kid is obviously loves his father, and his father is starting to have an episode, and he's just starting to go crazy. And what happens is he's talking to his son just about what they're doing, and preparing him for this life that they are leading by breaking into houses and these things like that, basically being outlaws. And he's telling him, kind of asking his son to make these promises to him as he's starting. You can start to see some of the paranoia and schizophrenia coming out of him. Saying, promise me that there's people after us, and when they find us, when they kick in the door, you gotta promise me if there's no place to run, could you do me a favor and kill me? He asks his child to kill him in case the authorities ever come and get close to him. And he basically tells him I would do the same for you. So we can obviously see that this father and this son, they do have a pretty close relationship, even though they are going out and doing these bad things. So as we go on through this, like I said, the father starts having kind of an episode, and they eventually end up getting through the night. So then the next scene we see that they are going breaking into a house that they've been kind of casing out for a little while. And through the course of the story so far, we see that they have been doing this for a while, as they're sitting there kind of giving each other a hard time. Just as the father has kind of taught the son how to break into these houses and just find ways in, and the son is obviously young, so he can get into places that the father can't, and the father's getting older now, so he doesn't quite get around the way that he used to. Well, as they're going through and through this house and everything, we see that they're actually not alone. There is actually a disabled grandfather that is there in this house that they were unaware of. And as soon as they find this out, that this grandfather, who obviously has some sort of health problems, tells them, like, when they're saying the run. He's saying, well, you guys better hurry because I just called the cops. And that's one of the scenes that we lead into, is as soon as they are trying to make their escape, we see that the father and the son are caught by the police as they are trying to escape this house, and they're not without a standoff. And we can see that there is quite a dramatic scene, as the father doesn't want to be captured by the police. And this is really where the story gets interesting. The father goes to try to commit suicide. He tries to shoot himself in the head, and we find out later that this was, while he did get injured, he didn't. It wasn't life-threatening. It wasn't a life-threatening injury, as the father is going to end up living. But what happens to the son is he actually gets taken into custody with the Child Protective Services, and he meets with a caseworker who, in fact, actually reveals something to this young man that he actually don't believe, and he ends up getting thrust into this world that to him is really is kind of unreal, and he just don't believe. And once he actually gets into this world, we can see that that some of his father's paranoia and schizophrenia has actually started to rub off on this child. And I've got to say, that's there's a little more to it, but I don't want to give it all away. But I've got to tell you, I really did like the story that was going on in this book. It seemed to be a little more of a thriller than a horror, but like I said, like I showed you in that first panel, you can see that there are definitely some horror elements that are going to be going on here. Now, the story I thought was really really well written. We get introduced to our characters and kind of the world that they are living in, and it's something that I quite liked. And like I said, there's the art in here, I gotta say, I really liked as well. It's something that's a little bit different. It's not like the typical superhero art where it's all bright and colorful and really well defined lines and things like that, like you do get out of a lot of the superhero books. But one of the things I definitely noticed in here as I was going through this book, and it was kind of messing with me, as you can see, I'm not sure how well you can see that here on this page, but that particular panel, these two particular panels right here, I'm not sure if you can see, compared to this one and compared to these, the lettering in these couple of panels, it's like blurry. Like you can read it, but it's kind of blurry. Like it actually kind of played with my eyes a little bit. And what's going on in the scene, it actually plays well to that. Now I'm guessing they did this on purpose, because these are the only two panels that they do this in. And I got to tell you, it played into this part of the story really well. And altogether, I've got to say, I did like this first issue. Like I said, it set up the characters. It kind of set us up on the story in which we're going to be getting in the future issues. And I can't wait to see what else it has in store for us after some of the things that happen after the son and his father get caught while they were breaking into houses. So that's all I've got for this video, but let me know down in the comments below, did you read Mountainhead? If not, is it something that you might be interested in? That's all I have for for this video today, folks. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Second Street Marvel today. If you haven't already, please make sure you're subscribed. Click that little bell so you get notifications anytime I have uploaded new content or anytime I plan on doing a live video. And if you could also do me another favor, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up or give it a thumbs down if you don't like it. I honestly don't care. But most importantly, make sure that you share it with a friend and invite them to come hang out with us here on the Second Street Marvel. You all have a very good day. Have a great week. Go out, support your local comic book shop. Happy reading, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.